first came the awe. Standing on the rim of the Grand Canyon, looking down into 1.7 billion years of geological history, an exquisite, awe-inspiring work of art. Canoeing in the boundary waters of northern Minnesota, where over the space of a week I saw more loons and moose than I saw people. Later I discovered the same wonder in smaller details, in the wonderful exquisite, the exquisite delicacy of a flower. Nature stirred something deep inside of me. I'm not a religious person, but it is when I am in nature that I've had something that could be called a spiritual experience. It's when I am in nature that I'm closest to God and to the sublime. Then I learned about nature, about the science of nature, how nature works. I learned how that exquisite masterpiece of the Grand Canyon has been shaped over millions of years by drops of water. I learned how evolution has shaped the individual petals of flowers to attract pollinators and to facilitate pollination. I realized how we and everything in this wonderful world of ours is interconnected. We depend on the oxygen exhaled by trees, which in turn depend on the carbon dioxide that we exhale. We depend on wetlands to purify and to regulate water, to soak up water in times of flood and to slowly release it in times of drought, to provide habitat for fish and for fowl, and also recreation for us humans. Understanding deepened my awe. The seeds for my career were planted then, but those seeds took a long time to germinate and to grow. It took a rather circuitous route to get to where I am today. I worked in restaurants, a bank, in a lawyer's office, a hospital, as a translator, a journalist, a teacher of English and German. I studied economics, history, politics, management. I started a PhD. I also experienced the Anthropocene up close and personal. I saw what we humans are doing to nature and also to ourselves. Looking down from a plane, I saw everything everywhere shaped by humans to the point where today scientists talk about the age of the Anthropocene, the geological age where humans are shaping the planet as a whole. In the past 50 years, we have lost 68% of the populations of wildlife on this planet. 2/3 of animals wiped off the face of the planet in my own lifetime. And with the loss of each of those species, with each of those populations, we are snipping away at the web of life on which we ourselves depend. I grew worried about nature and our own existence and civilization. But it was not until I was in Prague, age 27, that I found the courage to follow my convictions. In Prague, I was impressed by heroes, big heroes, well-known heroes, like the well-known dissident Václav Havel, who spent years in prison because he told truth to power. But also ordinary heroes, like the man I taught English, who in 1968, after Soviet tanks rumbled into Prague, refused to sign the letter of welcome that was put in front of him. One signature, or rather lack thereof, cost him his career as a senior manager in a company and put him in a restaurant washing dishes. He told me he would do it again, an ordinary hero who suffered the consequences for following his conscience, for living in truth. For 2 years, I worked as a very dedicated and active volunteer for various Czech environmental groups until I finally stopped writing my dissertation and started working for the environment full-time. I spent 5 years helping build the leading Czech foundation, environmental foundation, and then I moved to Vienna to work for WWF, where I have been ever since, promoting nature conservation and sustainable development across Central and Southeastern Europe. Over the last 15 to 20 years, we have built a rather unique cross-border network with nearly 200 wonderful, dedicated, inspiring, and fun colleagues and partners in Hungary, in Bulgaria, Romania, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Ukraine, and Moldova. Following my passion, following my calling, gave me new meaning and energy. It gave me inspiration. And by chance, very much unplanned, it became my career. I'm blessed to earn a living doing what otherwise I would do in my free time. In fact, I still do in my free time. In this region, I often hear people say that they cannot do anything. They don't have influence. They don't have power. But I've learned that people individually and working together can actually make a difference and even work miracles. I've learned that we all have power as activists and as active people, as citizens, as consumers, as donors, and as volunteers. I've seen the power of action. In Hungary, my colleague Laszlo Galhidi raised the alarm over plans to develop infrastructure in Trna Valley, one of the last intact forest landscapes in the country. Thousands, tens of thousands of Hungarians responded, and the project was stopped. I've seen the power of Gerhard Schwach, here on the left, an Austrian bureaucrat. Last week, the Mura-Drava-Danube Biosphere Reserve was officially designated. It's the first 5-country biosphere reserve. It stretches from Austria through Slovenia, Hungary, Croatia, Serbia. It covers what we call the Amazon of Europe, one of the most valuable parts of Europe. It's taken, my colleagues have been working on this for almost 20 years. And it was thanks to Gerhard and people like Gerhard working from the inside that this is now successful. Governments, ministries, agencies, companies, organizations, they're all made up of people, of individuals. And each of those individuals has agencies, agency to act, the possibility to change things. I've seen the power of my neighbor Maria, who with love and effort turned a muddy backyard into a vibrant habitat. I've seen the power of my wife Lena and her food co-op to support local farmers, to produce good food, good for me and also for the planet. My organization, WWF, is working for a world where people live in harmony with nature. We're working to preserve and restore forests, rivers, wetlands across this wonderful region and beyond. We're working to preserve populations of wild animals like bears and lynx, and also to return others like the Danube sturgeon back from the brink of extinction. We're working with governments, with companies, with other organizations, and with millions of people around the world for a sustainable future where we work with nature rather than against it. I know the importance of individual actions and support to these efforts to preserve Trna Valley, the Buda Island, or also the Pira National Park in Bulgaria. I know the importance of individual consumers and their choices to our work. Their concern, your concern for deforestation has opened the doors for us, my colleagues, to work with foresters, to improve forest management and protection, not only here in Hungary, but also beyond. I know the importance of individual donors to sustain our work. That support is more than financial. It gives us the possibility to walk into the office of a minister or the CEO of a company, not alone, but with your backing behind us, thousands of people. I know the importance of voters in electing and pressuring the politicians that I and my colleagues need to engage. I know the importance of volunteers in helping us to educate and raise awareness. I've seen the real changes such actions can make, not only immediately, but also further on. It's not only the act itself that's important, it's also the influence of that act, the legacy of that act. Greta Thunberg's solitary protest, a small girl sitting in front of a building, was itself almost meaningless. But that seemingly meaningless act inspired millions and sparked a movement that has changed governments and influenced global corporations. In Hungary, not so long ago, ordinary people opposed the construction of a dam on the Danube and helped usher in a revolution. What have I learned? I've learned that it's important to find your meaning, to live in truth, your own truth. You need to do what you think is important, to do what gives your fleeting life meaning. I've learned that I have the power, you have the power, we all have the power to change the world in ways that are bigger and in ways that only might seem to be smaller. We have the power to vote, to decide what to purchase, what to consume. We can educate and inform, we can donate our time and money. We have the power to make a difference that will keep working like ripples from drops of water in a pond. and we have the power to live in truth. Did Greta Thunberg know or expect that her solitary protest would spark a revolution? Does it matter? Or is it enough simply to live in truth, to have done what she had to do regardless? For me personally, my truth is nature. I deeply believe, I know, that we need to treasure nature, to work with nature rather than against it, because it is wonderful, because it is awe-inspiring, and because we depend on it for our very existence and well-being. I've learned that by acting, we're not saving the planet. We're saving ourselves. And I've learned that in doing that, we are also giving ourselves meaning. I've learned that together, saving the world, saving ourselves is possible, and that together, this can be meaningful, fulfilling, and even fun. Thank you very much.